are ready to start. So my name is Tatiana Shlebko. I'm Cambridge ELT consultant, and today's topic is lesson planning and classroom management. And we are growing professionally because our new motto for Cambridge University Press and Assessment is where your world grows. And yeah, lesson planning. We are very keen to see our students like this, like we are a happy teacher, and there is a bunch of students who are polite, who are disciplined, and who behave well. Unfortunately, the reality is different, right? And most probably what we see is this, which is great because children here are having fun. Our task is to find a way where their fun and our desire for the discipline can meet and create something beautiful in the classroom. So the main idea here that we need to reconcile classroom management and classroom discipline. And I will ask you now to type in the chat which one refers to which definition. You can type it in the chat. What is 1 and what is 2? Okay, so everybody writes the first one is classroom management. Let's see. So the first one would be classroom discipline, and the second one would be classroom management. Discipline refers to maintaining order and keeping the group on task and moving ahead, not to spot and punish those students who are misbehaving. This is about the discipline, not to punish or even spot those who are misbehaving. So everything that goes in with the discipline is about moving ahead, moving forward, not stopping. Classroom management refers to the ways in which students' behavior, movement, and interaction during a lesson are organized and controlled by the teacher, which means that we create the circumstances, we create the environment in which students behave, interact, and work towards the result. And yeah, about the discipline, is it true or false? Learning is taking place in the situation which is disciplined in the classroom. Yeah, the second one would be, it is quiet. Is it always true that with the discipline it is quiet? Yeah, that's not true. The teacher is in control when it's discipline. I have yes, no, not always. Yeah, but usually with the discipline, it's something that students have, something that teacher cannot control. It's something that teacher can help develop, but students have it. If you control it, it's like controlling creativity, controlling, I don't know, emotions of another person, because it's a trace of character. You cannot be in control of it. Teacher and students are cooperating smoothly. In the discipline classroom, yes. Students are motivated. Yes, because in case of high development of discipline, students are self-driven, motivated, and they might need some encouragement, but still it's their inner motivation. The lesson is proceeding according to the plan. Not always, but yeah, that's the idea of discipline, that everybody's moving ahead towards the results. Teacher and students have common objective. Yes. The teacher has natural charismatic authority. Not really, because you can develop this charismatic authority. You can work on that as the teacher, but at the same time, students need to see this authority. And when we look at classroom management, it consists of these parts. So instruction, materials, layout, behavior, time, policies, and procedures. Now, where do we start? If we start from the very beginning, let's start from the greetings. And my question here would be, share your favorite greeting activity if you have any. To do that, you scan the code, scan the QR code, or you join at slido.com and enter this code that you can see, 5640059. Okay, finally, everyone has hello songs. Great. A chant. Okay. How are you? Questions? Great. Give me 5. Oh, yes. Great. That's a great one. Rhymes show emotions. Funny poems. Video. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone who shared their ideas. Thanks a lot. Yeah, this is a polite thing, and I will show you my favorite greeting activity right now.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we will stop here. This is my favorite greeting activity. Why? I was also very happy when someone texted high five or hugs or something like this. It's really, really great activity, especially when we're working with the first grade, when there is total physical response. It can be, of course, not something so difficult as these kids have in the USA, but it can be some simple physical activity. It doesn't have to require touching, but something specific. For example, this can be the movement of the week, yeah, and the whole week everybody has one specific movement, and even if it happens so that your lessons are in Zoom and and they are a little bit older children of the 3rd or 4th grade, you can ask them to show something when they are in Zoom, and something specific that only they have, something personalized. Like for me as a student, or for me as a teacher, when you model this activity, you say, okay, this week I hello like this. And everybody can have some movement. Like this week I say hello like this. This week I say hello like this. And you can do it really easily. For that, your students will need to always have their cameras. If you're in Zoom, if they are coming to school, this can be a specific greeting movement that not only for a week, but throughout the year, maybe for a month. Maybe they won't want to change it. Yeah, and everybody remembers this. But something physical might be really good, especially when you're working online. Now, when we look at how students are situated, this is a typical classroom, a typical American classroom where students sit. Well, we also have it, yeah, where students, all of them sit alone, and there is a complete mess in the classroom. You can see what everybody is doing. Why this is so? In the situation where a student sits and looks into the back of the head of another student, and so on and so on, and then there is a teacher who kind of presents and stands over the classroom, it's a little bit difficult to teach your students communicate, collaborate, and work together, because this lecture style is something that even grown-ups can barely handle. So if you have a possibility to organize your classroom differently, to have different zones in your classroom, or to change those zones, or to swap, to ask students to swap their places in some also routine specific way. For example, those could be, flags with the names of all the students. You can put a flag and students can find their names, like people do in restaurants, yeah. And here I like this this classroom because there is a mat in the middle of the classroom. There are several tables for like desks. There are tables for projects, for negotiations. Here is group investigation area, and so on. What I did in my classroom when I was teaching primary students, we created the zones ourselves. At the very first lesson, we sat at a big table, and there were three of us, three groups, not three of us, but three groups of students who would make a map. Where do we put everything? Like, what zones do we need? Of course, it wasn't in English, but still we decided all the zones, and only after that we started working. And we had an English lesson zone, which was different every I'd say months. What types of zones there could be if you don't make them together with the children? So there is discovery zone. For example, this could be a zone where students learn new grammar and vocabulary with all the flashcards and so on. News zone. This could be something for maybe older students, but also for the kids. That's where you can have reminders on the homework and assignments or something like that, or the exhibition of the projects. Supplies zone, community zone, quiet zone, when somebody needs to sit quiet and do their exercise separately. Teacher zone and subject zone, that's for everything connected to English. Okay. Different types of layouts. Also important to understand that all of them are suitable for different types of activities. Like this is a seminar, the first one, seminar, the second one. This is something we usually do at English lessons, the P layout, where students can communicate in different ways. Another one is the discussions table. Also good for like group work, all group work, and smaller groups. The fourth one for different projects and presentations. Fifth one, again, for some presentations when everybody presents. The sixth one actually is also okay for tests. Then 7 is again lecture. And the last one, the 9, is kind of exam. In the 11, we have the changing situation. 10, 11, and 12 are like speed dating, could work well for polls and for class surveys. Okay, and yeah, these kids in the first picture look a bit strange, yeah, and quite non-realistic. On the second picture, we see that kids can do what they are to do at this particular moment, and it goes naturally. And if you have zones, it goes naturally in different zones, which you can switch at some point. Okay. Yeah, when I was talking about this classroom, you can also rearrange your students to have game, like a quest to find their name and rearrange their names for some of the lessons when you need them to sit on the other desk to talk and work with somebody else, but not to force them. You just make it a quest and ask them to occupy their new space once they find it. Behavior. Some of you were saying that you have hello song. Some of you have some physical response activities. Also can be a roll call. Yeah, when you personalize the roll call and don't just ask students like surname, name, and they have to say they're here or especially present. But you can turn it into a game, like name 3 animals, name 3 colors, name 3 kinds of sports and things like that, but naming them by the name. And if they don't, you will have to put absent. We had this game, it always worked well. You never know. You can try, it might not work the first time, the second time, but on the third time it might work. And yeah, not my idea. This is the idea of Olha Madulis. And some tips for classroom management. Let your students move. Know and cater to your students' learning styles. Be over-prepared, they say, but I will show you how that can be possible. Encourage your students to be independent learners. Keep in mind your students' attention span, and for primary students that would be really short time, like 7 minutes maximum to do something. Repeat activities. From time to time, repeat activities, have surprise activities as well. We had instructions. Prepare simple instructions for all the activities. Like, first of all, grade your language and sometimes even use gestures. Model the activities, the exercises. Use ICQs, which is instruction check questions. Use puppets to explain something. Yeah, like if you explain a dialogue, this is my friend, and oh, here he is, and we can start talking like this. So, what do you do to make instructions easy? Use ICQs, something like that. Yeah, when you use toys or puppets, students have kind of a model what they need to do, and it's easier. And chunk them, give them in stages. And here is a piece of chocolate. Like it's easier to eat it when you go one by one than all together. So the same with instructions, you chunk those. And the last one, I guess, about the time. Always have time limits. There are different devices for that. You can use some music, some bells, just the timer on your phone, or a physical sandwich, which I really admire. Draw attention of your students with chants, rhymes, activities, and make sure you have proper balance between stirring and settling activities. And there are also attention catchers, they are usually connected to the body. My favorite is freeze. When I ask them to freeze, they go like, they freeze and then melt, and they go with the body like this, you know, they melt. And those could be some other words connected to the topic you're learning, like animals or whatever, and you can negotiate it. Yeah, like freeze, I say freeze, they freeze, and then someone can say melt, and then someone can say freeze again, and okay, this can continue for maybe 3 times. Macaroni cheese, if the teacher says macaroni cheese, students have to respond, everybody freeze, and do it all together and freeze. If you need the attention and silence in the classroom. Then touch your nose if you can hear me. I think this is something everybody knows. Touch your forehead if you can hear me. And you, one by one, students start repeating what you're doing until the last one can hear you. Yeah, touch your ear if you can hear me, touch your shoulder if you can hear me, and you see that, okay, students are doing what everybody is doing. They're touching themselves, getting back to presence, and actually very calming activity. Whatever is connected to the body is always calming. And yeah, 1, 2, 3, eyes on me, something also very common and simple. Policies and procedures. My favorite is when you want someone to answer, especially those who haven't answered for a while, and you have this journal, which was my biggest pain all the time when I was teaching. But anyways, you have a journal and you're like, okay, I need answers. Yeah, and you go to the journal and think, who's been absent for quite a while? You you go answer. But what you can do, you can have sticks with the names, and if nobody raises the hand or you need someone specific to answer, you prepare that stick so you know it's there. But you accidentally take the stick, say, that's the name. And it's much more fun for students, and it doesn't make you a authoritarian or totalitarian teacher. It's just an accident, right? It happens accidentally, like in life. You just pull somebody's name, and yeah, this is a lottery. You have to answer because it's your name written on the stick. So this might be just funnier in case of teaching both primary and secondary students. And we have the last. Yeah, English lesson includes these components. We're talking now about materials like listening and reading tasks, plus comprehension, communicative, presentation of grammar, presentation of vocabulary, exercises on linguistic usages, writing, review of homework, preparation for a test, and test itself. So depending on that, your lesson plans are becoming different. There's some lessons have more presentation, some lessons have more life skills development, and so on. So you can have a template for your lessons to include also tempo, organization, materials you need, mode and skill that you are developing, difficulty topics, moods of your students, steering and settling balance activities. So yeah, active, passive. And you can track your lessons like that. I used to do that quite a lot, especially at the very beginning. And I was making these lesson plans in a way that they usually do in CELTA courses, for example. I will show you later what it looks like. But when you are planning the lesson, it's important to put the harder tasks earlier. Do quiet activities before lively ones. Then keep an eye on your watch. Pull the class together at the beginning and at the end of the lesson. And on a positive note, prepare and reserve, which means you don't just prepare for the lesson, but you also prepare a little bit more, just in case. And you can have different classroom management helpers. Like you can use colors to regroup students. You can use cards, sticky notes, a ball or a toy for students to talk to each other only when you have this ball tossed. Some name sticks, as I showed you before. You can have a specific cloth, like those who are under the cover are not speaking, but those are speaking, or it depends on how you use it. Or when you put a cloth on the table, for example, yeah, and those who sit at this table are speaking and they have to change. You can line your students by age, alphabet, numbers. You can ask them to do that, like who goes first, and so on. And remember that when you start teaching, it's 90% planning and 10% management. But for an experienced teacher, it's 10% planning and 90% management, says Scott Thornberry. But there is never 100% management and 0% planning. So planning should be there for each lesson, and it doesn't have to be written all the time. I usually plan things because of the time management problems. Sometimes I think I have more to say, but I say less, and vice versa. So I have it like this: beginning, and the end of the lesson, pupils will be able to. And here I always put realistic things, like they will be able to name colors. I'm sure about it. Not just name colors, but to identify colors on each other and name them, or in the classroom and name them. So then we have aims of the activity, place and class. So the beginning here I have warm up, lead in, depends on what kind of the lesson I have. Then main activities, several of them. Then at the end of the lesson, always feedback, ending, and some reserve in case I end earlier and students are still happy to work. I always write down new language and language review for the lesson, for each particular lesson, and general feedback on the lesson. There might be also something about some specific students if that's needed. So here, activity and aims of activities, and actually this is something the teacher's book for most Cambridge books have, but in a different way. Then with the materials for each lesson, like, okay, I have book, flashcards, and maybe some printouts or sticky notes or sticks. And I write down here all the materials I need for the activities. Then type of work for the activities, whether it's pair work, individual work, group, front classroom, or I forgot what's mingling activity, when they need to walk around and switch with other students. And time in both variants. The first one is how much time I need, and if I start at 11, I finish this activity at 5:11. Never worked, but the more I plan it, the easier it is to track what doesn't work, why, and keep closer to this your perfect idea of a lesson. And when we look, let's look at one of the lessons. This is from Super Minds Ukrainian edition, and this is my classroom lesson from Unit 1. The first lesson. You see the page. There is some new words, then a big question, and then a chant. Looks like there is nothing to do. But when we look into the teacher's book, and we find the teacher's book before the lesson, we go to Linguist UA website, go to primary school folder, and here we have students book, workbook, phonics book, teacher's book, flashcards, super skills book. And teacher's book is free online downloadable material. Here it is. Where I lost it. Here is the teacher's book, and there is also yearly plan here. After yearly plan, we can have a look at the course presentation, so we know what does it consist of. We look at the teacher's book. We check our audio for the students and workbook, and also whether there are videos at the lessons. It would be good to download them just in case your internet doesn't work properly. There are also flashcards. All are here. Also free downloadable flashcards for your students. Now, if you look into the teacher's book, the lesson plan starts from learning outcomes, which is the same as aim. Yeah, what students will be able to do. What is the product of this lesson? To name and talk about things in the classroom, to say a chant. Perfect. And we always have this big question. What does it mean? The big question is something which is the question with which everybody will work for 8 lessons, the whole unit. And this is the question for each lesson, for each activity. We can have different learning outcomes. And for example, when we have a story, the animated story, there will be more critical thinking, creative thinking, and different cognitive control functions development throughout the stories and values in these stories. And that's why these could be a little bit different. And you see, if there is a new lesson, then later on we have recycling the language and grammar from the unit, which is what's in the classroom. And every lesson starts with a warm-up activity. Let's have a look at this lesson again. And we go to warm-up activity in the teacher's book, after which we have the presentation of new topic to present classroom objects and so on. Then we have activities to practice, and there is quite a lot of practice. You can see here's the big question. And then we have the end of the lesson, and also extended activities for fast finishers. About the lesson plans, it is important to share what's the objective of the lesson with the students so they understand why they're here at this lesson. You don't have to follow the lesson plan as if it's very important. It is important, but if you need, you can adapt to what's going on in the classroom, of course. At later comment, when you finish the lesson, you can comment on what went good, what should be improved, and something specific about this particular lesson. Tick things that you've done, could be nice during the lesson. And when you set up any activity, make sure that you use imperative, like you say students what to do and there is call to action. Use short sentences. Pause to allow learners time to proceed information. Give a specific task. Give a time limit. Use signaling words to get learners' attention, like look, listen, macaroni cheese, everybody freeze. It doesn't help you when you use colloquial or idiomatic language. I don't think you do that with your students. Give too many instructions at once, so you don't chunk the instruction. Add if you want, or you can, but you don't have to your instructions. There is always imperative. We can improve instructions by making them simpler and more graded. And here are some imperative things like grade, stage, gestures, demonstrate, or model, and so on. So be prepared for the lesson. Have some tasks for fast finishers. Have repetitive activities, especially those which are total physical response activities. Have surprise activities, something that students never always want and always expect, but then forget about it, and it's again surprise. So you can have a box of surprise activities, for example, with flashcards or board games. Play games and use all the kinds of your students' intelligence, like both visual, spatial, musical, audio, musical is audio, interpersonal, intrapersonal, linguistic, logical, and so on. Make sure that they are developing all of these. And also, if we are talking about challenging times, which we're talking for quite a long time. So you might be interested in a book, Teaching in Challenging Circumstances by Chris Soughton. This is a wonderful book that also talks about lesson planning. You can download this book by this QR code. And also I will add it to your thank you letter. Right. Particularly, there are great ideas that Chris gives when you have to deal with things like students often feel they aren't learning anything. Students feel confused. Students often feel bored and cannot concentrate. You might not cover what you planned with your students. You might not have enough material for the lesson, or you have too much material for the lesson. And these are the few questions which are the challenges for the teachers, and Chris is trying to answer those questions in his book. The examples of the books I was using were from Supermind's Ukrainian edition. If you are interested, you go to Publishing Linguists UA website. You will find the samples of students' book, activity book, also the samples of new additional components, which is Superphonics book and Super Skills book. Also, we have the new edition of Kids Box, new generation, which is the not because Superminds, it's the Ukrainian edition, and most teachers are supplied by their libraries. But if you are interested in some other materials that you want to purchase, check out Kids Box New Generation. It's a really great book for primary students. And you can see we have completely new starter level, and then from the 1st to the 6th grade. Also, we have the new editions of Think. Think 2nd edition is a really great course with more videos and much more possibilities for digital learning. And the new thing that I would really like to share with you is that we have the special offer for Ukraine from Cambridge University Press with In Use series. And you can see here, this is grammar in use, vocabulary in use, pronunciation, idioms, collocations, phrasal verbs, business vocabulary, and professional English. All these in use series are available on Linguist UA website. And also I will share this booklet with you. It's interactive and you can find all the information you need about the book you want to choose. And actually I'm going to choose some of these books myself because I love phrasal verbs, and I'm really interested in some professional series of In Use, and it's a lot of fun. Now it goes with new ebooks, and yeah, there is a special price, so please check out our new In Use offer to learn English, and it's really good for both for teachers, for students, but most probably secondary students. Follow us on Facebook. We have a lot of articles and interesting posts there, and you can stay updated all the time if you are with us on Facebook. To get your certificates, you will need to wait for around 7 days before you receive your thank you letter, where there will be a link to the feedback form. After completing the feedback form, you will receive the link to the folder with all the certificates. They will be the same format as you can see on the screen, together with the program of the events. Thank you very much, and if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer. Thank you. Thank you for joining today. trying to find a question, but there are so many comments. Thank you very much. Thanks. And have a great weekend. Ah, to share the QR code, of course. The QR code to teaching in challenging times. Here it is. Okay, let's move on. Thank you. Oh, thank you. That's really nice because I was I was hoping not to bore you today, considering it's September and everybody's sleepy by the end of Friday. Aha, presentation plus for quick minds. No, unfortunately, we don't have it because it's a little bit older course. But we used to have the interactive materials with videos and audios, and all of them, all that you can find on the website is still there. Unfortunately, presentation plus for quick minds doesn't exist. About the presentation, no, I will not send the presentation. But what I will do, there will be a recording on our Facebook page. Greeting activities for university students. Oh, we usually hug each other and say something really specific like, I wouldn't say it's university students, but if it's a seminar, it's really important to personalize and show them that you keep track on somehow on what they say, especially when it's communicative activities. But when you're talking about the lecture, then I don't think it's really needed. University students are much more adult, especially if it's Zoom. But what works best is some personalizing or some good joke or something that you specifically do. For example, I had a bunch of students and I was looking for the most stupid joke from Irish humor. And none of them were laughing. And we were just having this as a joke. The fact that it's not funny. So you never know. You can find your own way, knowing your students, because they are really grown-up personalities. With kids, it's with the body, it always works. With hugging, with touching, with high fives. Okay. How many kids are there? Where? I used to have kids in the class. I had one group with 12 kids and another group with 9 kids. It was a bit longer time ago, but I've never had like a class of 80 students or something. Pilot project for, if you are talking about the 7th grade, yes, it's there on Publishing Linguist UA. Check it out from time to time, because last week we uploaded more materials to all the pilot project sections. There is CELTA available in Ukraine. CELT-B, not sure it's available anywhere right now. But you might check it with one of the exam centers, because we provide books and there are also exam centers, and CELTA is now available in Ukraine. Okay. Yes, there will be EKTC, this anyways, yes, there will be hours in your certificates with all the information, everything official with your name, EKTC, number and equivalent and everything. Yes, will be there. Yes, Superminds Ukrainian edition are already going to school. Most of the schools have already received those. And if you haven't, it might be connected to the Department of Education in your region. So please check it with them, because we did print all the books, as I understand, as far as I know. Okay. I think we're done with the questions, right? Because I'm somehow back to hello questions. Let's see. Okay. Then that's it. Thank you very much once again, and have a great weekend. Goodbye.